not those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or
There's your clock, by the
retransmission of
way.
this broadcast is strictly
Just so you have an idea.
without written
Don't look at
consent
that.
of
That's not
And it's
working.
over at 10:05. Is that when it's
Huh?
done? Am I done at 10:05 or 10?
No, you go to 9:59 and 50 seconds.
Okay.
That's where you go.
With your host, Dr. Trev J. Rizacker.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds.
I always say this.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Going to be, and I said that 20 pounds ago. A third of Americans are obese. A third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea, heart disease.
Everything's hurting now. It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
Sounds like he's
Probably
asleep.
going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese. It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac. I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The way the nation is
I
under
know it's
control,
backwards, but
we can
that's
fix
the way it
that.
goes.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority,
I gotta turn the TV, get the camera around, and I'm just not gonna do it right now. So you're gonna be stuck with a backward image.
Ready and go.
Good morning. What a glorious day here in South Florida. What is it, May 5th? Something like that? 4th or 5th?
Third.
3rd. Oh, I thought it was faster than that. All right, May 3rd. Love and life. South Florida is popping, man. Who would have thought? Well, you know that we'd have so much money moving into the area, people coming in, buying all of our lovely houses and properties, trying to build on them as fast as they can so they can flip them for some money. And then I'm just waiting for like a year or two and everything kind of settles down again and prices come back to normal. It can't sustain this. So if you've just tuned in, this is not a real estate show. This is Slim Body Laser Spa's health and wellness show. And I'm going over how today's medical lasers, this new technology, is being used to help you to look better, to feel better, to lose inches, to get rid of pain, to relieve pain safely without pills or injections or surgeries. This light force, I call it the light force, is absolutely all of the energy of the world is in light. You know, it really is. It's almost like the source of all the energy. It comes from photonic energy from the sun. It's a thermonuclear, huge reactor up in the sky that's millions and billions of miles away from us. But it spews out radiant energy. It spews out pure energy. And that energy can be harnessed. And it can be brought back into devices which, when applied to the body, in a safe, healthy way, can be super beneficial. And, and heavy light can also be very dangerous, as we know, lay out in the sun without any sun protection on and watch what the sun does to you. That thermonuclear reactor, it cooks you. It burns your skin. But at the same time, it's very beneficial for your health and your wellness. And that's really what my message is here, is trying to explain and understand and make into something that you can understand that light is it's not a commodity. It's a pure energy, a substance of pure life. All of life began with light, and then there was light, right? Isn't that in the Bible? In the Genesis, the Spirit moved over the face of waters, and then there was light. And light is what gives you energy and health and wellness. And gosh darn it, it's about time we figured out how to harness it and then utilize it for our benefit in the right doses. And that's what I'm doing at the Slim Body Laser Spa. Who would have thought I would be using light in the red spectrum? In other words, the color red, 628 nanometers for you techies out there, at And then there's power behind it. You know, a very bright, bright red light could knock a plane out of the sky, for crying out loud. If it's so bright, you know, it blast them in the eyes, they couldn't see. But at the very, very low powers, it's very beneficial to your tissues, to your systems. Your body utilizes it as fodder, as cannon fodder for the energy, which gives you life, allows you to digest food, allows you to assimilate and to power the muscles and all of your glands and tissues and organs and systems in your body. These light is what powers all of these things, this energy in the form of what they call ATP, adenine triphosphate. And this is the byproduct of light exposed to a plant to form starch, and then starch is eaten by the animals and us. And when we eat the starch or eat the animal that ate the starch, we will liberate and release stored light in the form of photonic energy. I really mean that. You are eating food for energy. That's why you're eating food. Hopefully, not because you're enjoying somebody's birthday, although we do eat food for that reason, or we eat food to feel comfortable, and we eat food because it's there and we don't want to waste it because there's other people starving somewhere in the world. I mean, how many of us have overeaten a meal because somebody told us that there was people starving in another part of the world and we shouldn't leave food on our plate? Well, maybe you should have. Now we're all as big as houses. Maybe we should have left some of that food on the plate, or not taken so much and put it on the plate in the first place. But food is where we get our energy, and within the food is radiant energy in the form of photons, light tied up in the starch. And when we eat that starch, it breaks those bonds. The chemicals and those byproducts are used to rebuild the tissue, the nutrients, the minerals, the phytonutrients, the enzymes that come in food build our tissue. But the energy that powers our body has come originally from the sun. Put into the starch with chlorophyll. We eat the starch, break down those bonds, and this is how we get energy. To live, to breathe, to work, to sleep, to digest food, to pump our blood, to move muscles. All of this comes from the sun in the form of radiant energy put into a starch that we eat, and we break those bonds. Now, the reason why we can eat an animal, for the most part, for those of you who enjoy eating animals, the starch, they ate the starch before you. They grazed the grain, they ate the leaves, they ate the ground, whatever it is they eat, and they stored that energy from the starch they ate within their proteins, within their muscles. And when we eat the protein, hopefully, and stick to the lean part of the meat, we get the energy which has been transferred from the sun to the plant, to the animal, into the proteins, and then we eat the proteins, and when those protein bonds are broken, it releases more energy. Imagine that. And now we get energy within our body. And thank goodness we're at the top of the food chart. Nobody's eating us, but I'm sure that if they did, they'd find out that we store a little bit of sun energy too within our muscles, within our body. I know I'm opening up my talk on health and wellness and lasers with this idea that the food you eat is really critically important, that you make the right choice when you choose to eat foods, when you choose what you're going to put in your mouth and into your body. You have to look at it as either it has a life principle. In other words, it's live food, L-I-V-E, live food. Just like this live feed I see on my Facebook camera there, it says live food. Or is it dead and devitalized food? Food which has no life principle. In other words, processed food. Food which has been preserved so it lasts in a box for years. Canned food. much food which has been over processed and over treated with chemicals and colorings and, packaged in plastics, so the plastics leach into the food too. All of these types of foods are really, really unhealthy for us. And over time, they might have a little pop, like a sugar pop, because you eat it and you get that little boost, because it's a straight up carbohydrate. But the long-term problem is it puts toxins in your body. It actually turns into sludge poison within your system. And then your body has to work hard to get rid of that extra, garbage that was in the food that was devitalized, which was not really food, just something to carry sugar or salt or sweet. And this is a real problem for us as humans. All right, if you just tuned in, I have no idea what time it is. No, I'm kidding, because we have a new clock. We're 20 minutes in. My name is Dr. Tread Rissacker. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I am licensed in the state of New York and the state of Florida. Been in practice for 33 years. And yes, I'm still in my 40s, so I went to college when I was just a little kid. People say, God, you look so young. I'm like, yeah, right, yeah, sure. I'm 61. And I've seen a lot of different ideas, and I've experienced a lot of different, things in my life as a chiropractor and watching healing. And I've also watched the failure, in my opinion, the failure of medicine. Medicine and the use of chemicals and drugs to change your symptoms without really giving you anything to be healthy is a failed principle. It doesn't really give you health. It treats symptoms, and God knows that symptoms, I don't like symptoms either, just like you don't like symptoms. But would I rather erase the symptom and not know what's wrong with me and not do anything to why the symptom occurred? Or would I rather live with the symptom and use the symptomatology to determine if what I'm doing is the right idea and the right thing for the problem? You have this alarm system in your house which monitors all the windows and the doors and the perimeter, and it's an expensive alarm system. And all of a sudden, one of your window sensors goes off and tells you that there's been a breach in one of the windows. Are you going to just run down and shut it off and forget to look at it? And why did you spend so much money on such an expensive alarm system if you're not going to go look at where the breach is? And you might find out it's really something is happening. So that's what your body does. Your body gives you symptoms. It gives you aches and pains and, difficulty sleeping and weird nausea. And it creates sometimes the need to go to sleep, lethargy, and all kinds of different symptoms. And, these symptoms are a sign to you that something is wrong, that your body is not functioning in a way, and it's giving you symptoms. Yet we're so trained to take that symptom and apply it to a pill or a drug based on your training. What you've been trained to do this. You've been trained by the media and by the TV and by radio and by your parents and by the doctors that when you have a certain symptom, you can apply a certain drug to that symptom. And you know very well what the drug is. You know more about it than even your doctor does because you've been trained and taught. So let's use a few examples here. And I know you'll remember this. Let me get Evan on this. Evan, what do you think when I say plop, plop, fizz, fizz?
Oh, what a relief it is.
And what would you...
Alka-Seltzer.
For what?
For indigestion, heartburn.
That's right.
Any kind of stuff.
And my man's not a doctor, but he's trained to know what to use when you got indigestion.
Right.
What do you do if you can't poop?
You take a laxative.
That's right. Right?
Many forms.
And there's not a lot of neat little sayings for it because it's not very pretty, but the truth is we know if you take a suppository.
Right.
Or what's the other one? X-Lax.
X-Lax,
chocolate. Right? Yeah.
I played a nasty trick on somebody with that sometime.
Yeah, well, we don't want to.
We don't want to go there.
No. So your symptomatology. How about the little purple pill?
Oh yeah, that's for ED.
Prilosec.
Oh no, Prilosec. I'm thinking the blue pill.
Yeah, well, the blue one is
the
for
blue
ED.
is for
Right,
ED.
right,
the
right,
the
right.
purple one is for the
So
indigestion.
so what would be the signs of a heart attack? Not working properly.
Well, let's just say you start to get numbness and tingling down
Left arm
or right arm, whichever one it is. Tightness in the chest, shortness of breath,
Right.
different things like that.
All right, and let me ask you the symptoms of a stomach which is starting to have ulcers or indigestion. What would be some of the symptoms of that?
I would say probably, I would guess, like gurgitation, things like that, acid reflux.
That's right. Yeah.
Things
Okay.
like that.
So we're very trained on how to recognize problems.
Okay.
Let me ask you, what are the signs of a healthy heart? How would you describe the beats, how it should ramp up, how it should cool off, how long it should last? Do you know any of that? Do you have any?
See, I don't know any information about things like that. That's why a cardiologist does.
Well, and there's a reason for that.
Right.
Because they're not teaching you about normal function. They're only
Right.
teaching you about symptomatology, so you know where to go very quickly and what to take. And
Right.
same thing with your stomach. Well, how would be well, let me tell you about a normal heart function, okay?
Okay.
Your heart is designed to last 120 years, okay? It's mandated to circulate the entire blood volume every minute. It circulates all of your blood volume every minute.
Okay.
If you were to exercise and raise your heart rate, normal heart rate is between 65 and like 85 beats per minute. That's a nice normal heart rate. Pressure, 120 over 70.
Okay.
Those are normal numbers.
Okay. You have your O2 sent as
you have
well
your-
as like 97, 98,
You
your
need
saturation.
to be 98%
Yeah.
saturated. That has nothing to do with the heart.
Yeah.
That has to do with blood supply and the
Right.
ability for the oxygen to carry it.
Right.
And the other part is, so a healthy heart also is something that if you were to exercise for 2 minutes and raise your heart rate up to, just to get the heart rate beating faster at 120, it should go down to its resting rate in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Now, I'm telling you this now, and because we don't know what a normal heart should do. We know what a sick heart does and how the symptoms of it. And what do you think if you lock an idea in your mind and you focus on it long enough, like to make money, to build a house, to get your hair cut, or to have a sick heart? It's what you think about most that really creates your realities. So they know without a doubt that if we can teach a person how to recognize every illness and sickness, in a way of protecting you, it's really it's counterproductive. So we need to focus more on healthy body functions, the healthy function of the body versus all of the sicknesses and symptoms and diseases that occur because it's just a better idea. That kind of makes sense?
It does. It really does.
It does.
You have to have a healthy
things
heart.
For granted.
Yeah.
Right.
All depends on what you eat too.
In other words, we were created perfectly by God, by our Creator, and we interfere with the function of that energy by interfering with it, by eating improper foods, by having thoughts that are not positive, having thoughts counterproductive of health. In other words, if you have fear, you can shut off the arteries. You can close down your arteries with fear because the blood needs to be shunted to the muscles, away from the digestive organs. And that's what fear does. When you see something scary and you think you might have to run or fight, your blood supply goes away from your digestive organs and goes into your muscles because you got to fight. That's why they tell you not to swim on a full stomach. You ever heard that?
All the time. My parents used to tell me that. Don't go swimming after you eat.
And why do you think?
Worst thing to do.
And the reason why is because the blood that needs to digest your food is in your stomach. It's in your blood vessels around your gut, not in your muscles.
Right.
So as you start moving your muscles, you'll run out of energy because there's not enough blood supply, enough sugar there. And you can create that same scenario with fear mentally. And what's more fearful than I got pain in my left arm? I feel like for some reason I'm noticing some fullness on my chest. I've been reading about this, and now the blood supply is affected, and you can precipitate and create sickness and disease just as easy as you can create health and wellness. That's really important to understand that. It all begins between your ears. There isn't a single thing that we have in our environment, in our world, from this door I'm looking at to all these wonderful microphones to the clothing, thank God, that Evan is wearing.
Thank God.
and realize that somebody thought about this. They saw a need to transfer this voice into this electrical device to clothe Evan, you know, and nothing, it didn't just appear like a magical poof.
Yeah.
Somebody created it, and that's the creative principle. And that creative principle creates an enormous amount of happiness. It picks the right wives. It gives us time and patience with our children. It can also be the opposite, because a thought is either good or bad. It's either positive or negative. And if you're focused on that negative side of thoughts and you're creating fear through thinking you have diseases when you might not, and you focus on it long enough and you go to enough doctors to look for it, I promise you, you're going to find that disease process. It's law. Yet we don't really want to accept that we create all these negative things too. See, we're okay with creating like the happiness and, hey, look at the job I did, look at my business, and look at this beautiful house I built. Oh, wait a minute. Did I build that beautiful cancer too? I got colon problems and you know, did I build that also? It's possible. That's really what I'm saying here. You have to really look at the ideas and the thoughts that go through your head and mind as to what you think about and what you choose to focus on. Which is a good reason to turn off the darn TV. Yeah, I got my dose this morning. 10 minutes is all it took. I was done. I was like, oh my God, we're going to all die in some nuclear war, right? In Ukraine, they're shooting people in the knees. I was like, click that off. All right, how am I going to get out of this feeling? All right, I'm going to go. I went outside, I threw the bone for the dog. She went and chased it a little bit, looked down at the water, took a few deep breaths, came in, and I was like, all right, you're going to just forget about that image. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. You create your life in your thoughts way before it ever turns into a physical manifestation. And I want to thank Evan for giving me a little bit of feedback there on what people think. Any suggestions?
It's interesting stuff because many years ago, it's funny you're talking about health, and many years ago, I thought I was having a heart attack. To find out, I got rushed to the hospital. I had like pain right here. To find out, I had what's called a calcium deficiency.
Yeah.
They ran all my test levels, and basically I wasn't drinking enough milk.
Yep.
Is what it was.
Or yeah.
Or water.
Or getting calcium.
Yeah,
You know,
getting
there's really not a lot of calcium in milk, by the way.
Yeah.
They add it in there.
Well, anyway, everything got adjusted.
Eat some seashells might work a little better. Actually.
Everything got adjusted. Now I'm on like a daily vitamin regimen that I've told you about that I take.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah. And you know, it's really comes down to what we choose to think about. And I'm here to tell you that symptomatology, your symptoms, are your friend. They're not your enemy. They should not be looked at as an enemy. They should not be eradicated at all costs. You need to look at your symptom and trace it back to a cause and see if with intelligent action, if you can change that reason why you have that symptom, using intelligence and action. You know, a great example would be cigarette smoking. And I'm not busting on all the people that smoke. I know people enjoy smoking. But if you're developing a problem with breathing and you're having some fluid build up in your lungs and, you know, you're getting a morning cough and, you know, and you're starting to have low energy and oxygen carrying and you're starting to have symptoms of somebody who's been like a long-term smoker, you know, these symptoms, if you're noticing symptoms, you need to use intelligent adaptation to stop it. And since the cause would most likely be due to the fact of the smoking, you might want to think about intelligently stopping the smoking, using a way of stopping that, instead of trying to take a pill so you don't notice the congestion, you know, or, you know, you've got a rock in your shoe, you pick up a pebble in your shoe and you're walking on it and it's hurting the bottom of your foot. So, you know, do you take a aspirin so you don't feel it? Do you take pills so you don't feel it? Or do you go in and take your shoe off and pull the rock out? Right? You shake the little pebble out. Yet there's people out there that will take drugs because of a rock in their shoe and not really realize that that's the cause, because they don't really think about the cause. They just look to get rid of the symptom. And that is really, really, really important to know that, because there's, again, I go back to the law of creation. There's nothing that has ever been created in this universe that you see, that wasn't created by a thought, an idea, an image held on, that energy and time was put into. And maybe it was money was put into it, time, thought, and over a series of time, the creative principle then creates that object, that idea. And that's the way it works. And yes, because things can be either good or bad, positive or negative, you can create negative things also just as easy, sometimes easier than you can positive things, because it seems normal, it seems okay to do that. So I think that is just so important to know that you are not. Now, I'm not saying we're little gods here, okay? Let's be realistic. I'm just trying to teach you about the way that the universe operates through law. It's not a chance. There's no fate. You are where you are supposed to be because there's a need for you to be there. And I hope that someday you come to realize that we all need each other in so many ways. It's so important. And that what happens over in Russia or Ukraine right now affects us directly just from the energy of it. Just the energy, So, what does that have to do with laser body sculpting? Not a lot. I just thought I'd point it out. What I've done at the Slim Body Laser Spa, is it became very, very obvious to me that weight is becoming a health crisis, epidemic proportions. And since it's something that isn't transmissible, you can't sneeze on someone and make them fat, they don't really consider it a pandemic. But when it comes to loss of life, loss of health, loss of energy, money spent to treat it, how people feel about themselves, how they're limited in what they can do, and the life becomes less enjoyable. That's what happens with carrying weight around. If you're carrying too much weight, hey, a little bit of weight is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not about, having some weight on, but what's really bad is carrying too much weight for too long. And when we carry weight for too long, it makes us sick. It sickens your body. It causes your pancreas to become hypersensitive to the insulin, and over time, too much weight will cause your pancreas to malfunction. It can also lead to heart disease and heart failure. You have this body fat, which requires a mile of blood vessels. 1 pound of fat requires a mile of blood vessels to feed it, and that means more work for the heart. The heart's a pump. Remember the mandate of the heart to move the blood through every minute, the whole body, pump, 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 pump. And now you put on 10 pounds extra fat in the last 3 months. That's 100 miles of blood vessels. It's a mile. Well, 10 miles. 10 miles of blood vessels. Minimal. That now that heart's having to get blood through. Yet you need that heart to last 120 years, so when it craps out at 90, you think you've reached the end of your life, but really, I'm telling you, 30 years short. There's people that live to be 120 years in the world, So you're dying in your 80s and 90s, and that's premature death. Just because everybody's dying about that doesn't make it okay. Body fat has a lot to do with that. I was doing I do a lot of these body fat analyses at my Slim Body Laser Spa. And the body fat analysis where we use a electrical current. It's a machine called a body impedance analysis, and a person sits down and we put in their age, their gender, which is, you have to put gender in, by the way. It doesn't work on a pronoun that just says us. You got to be male or female, because we carry body fat differently. Males and females carry body fat differently, so you can't just have a unisex, a unicorn. It's got to be male or female. And then it has to do with your age, your weight, okay? And then we put an electrode on your foot and one on your hand. And then you sit back, and then it passes a very mild electrical current through your body. And that current is, depending on how much body fat you have, lean muscle, water, and bone, conducts electricity at different speeds. So it's called an impedance analysis. And impedance means to slow something down, to impede. So this machine gives us your body fat percentage, how much of your body is fat compared to lean muscle. It gives us your total body water, how hydrated you are. It also gives us what we call your resting caloric intake, how many calories you burn at rest. And that's an important number to know that, because if you don't know that number, then you can't target your food intake. So once you understand these numbers, these are called biomarkers, and they lead to having the tools and the information necessary for you to eat underneath that number, so you can not get so fat, so you can get a handle on your weight. If you really understood that we can only burn about 2,400 calories a day, that's the average calorie consumption for a human, is between 2,000 and 2,400 calories. That's your max. Unless you're some kind of super athlete or super, person who's running and jumping and is super active in their job and their life, if you eat more than 2,500 calories a day and you do it consistently, you're going to get fat. It's just no way around it, because you can't burn more than you can't burn more than your body can burn. It's a set point. It's a max. It's like a credit score. My credit score tells me, how much financing I can get, or what my financial rate will be by my credit score. You're not going to buy a house bigger than your credit score. And let me tell you, if your BMR, your body mass index, your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, is fixed at 2,000 calories or 2,500 calories, you better know that, and the food you eat has to be less than that amount or at that amount for you to maintain and sustain your lifestyle, the way you look, the amount of muscle tone you have, the amount of energy that you're accessing is dependent on how much food you eat and the type of food, the quality of the food. If you were to eat food that is full of a life principle, full of that radiant energy I had talked about, the sun goes into the starches and puts the starch, locks the sun's energy up within the starch bonds, and then we eat the starch, we break those bonds, we get that energy. That energy is what's going to give you the ability to run, and to run fast. It's going to give you the ability to digest food, and to keep your heart beating is where that energy comes from. So what if day in and day out, I was hooked on Doritos? And I hate to use Doritos as an example, but it is the most common snack food out there. But what if my choice of eating foods were things that were mainly sugar-based, fatty, without proteins, carbohydrate that is processed, not fresh carbohydrates. We're not talking vegetables and fruit. We're talking about processed carbohydrates. Cakes and cookies and treats and pastas and mixed goulash things. I'm having a hard time pointing out the things that are not healthy, but I can tell you this: if it isn't a vegetable and it's not a fruit and it's not a lean protein and it's not good fat, it's probably unhealthy. And this is going to leave you with low energy. not only is it going to affect your energy, but it's going to give you a bunch of poisons and toxins that you shouldn't even have in your body to also get rid of. So now, not only does your body have to get rid of normal respiration, the toxin from just living, a certain amount of poisons our bodies produce as they breathe air and we exercise and we digest food, healthy poisons. Now, because you're eating crap, processed foods, now you got to get rid of all that food poison too. And you wonder why you're tired at the end of the day and you don't have the energy to take care of your children, and you need to nap 2 and 3 times because you're sleepy. This is all process of the toxins. I hope that makes a lot of sense to you. So choose food that's live food. Buy live food. Salads, and more salads. Have some green leafy vegetables. Have some spinach, stir-fried, fried, boiled, put in your eggs. There was a great restaurant in New York, which, I loved parts of New York and Manhattan when I was a young man, and it was called the Lucky Strike was the name of the restaurant. It was down in the Fashion District right by NYU, and it was open till 5 in the morning, and it was a really big hangout for these beautiful model girls to go to this restaurant in Manhattan called the Lucky Strike. Now, maybe you remember this, and it was a grill that cooked spinach in 100 different ways. In other words, you went into this restaurant, they had a big menu board up on the wall, and it had nothing but spinach and cooked in 50 different ways. Stir-fried, baked, in eggs, boiled, raw, shredded. I can't even name all the different ways. In oils, in different types of flavoring and sauces. And it was popular as heck. That restaurant was packed with these beautiful models and stuff all coming in because, let's face it, spinach is an amazing food source. There's a reason why Popeye popped the spinach can and crunched it and his arm got strong, Spinach is protein. Protein is the architecture, is the building block of muscle strength. Without a good amount of protein in those forms of those good proteins, you can't build muscle. And one of the best sources in the vegetable kingdom is spinach. And all the dark green leafy vegetables, by the way. Broccoli, kale. So, that would be, in fact, I'm listening to Rogan, which I only listen to his YouTube parts. I don't listen to his Spotify, too expensive. But it seems there's a new diet out there which is taking over and helping people huge with their health and their wellness. And, it was the Mediterranean diet and the cabbage soup diet. And then we got into the Atkins, which was way before all of them. And then we got into this thing called the paleo diet, which is eat like a caveman, right? Eating bone broth and grubs off the ground. And now we're going into what they call keto diet. And a keto diet is when your body is burning pure fat, it produces ketones. And ketones are a way that your body gets energy. And you get it from when you burn fat, not eat fat, by the way. So, these are very popular diets. Well, the new diet, are you ready? Are you ready for the new diet? Meat and green leafy vegetables. That's the new diet. Meat, green leafy vegetables. Green leafy vegetables and meat. I mean, we're talking steaks and beef and pork and chicken and seafood and, meat, protein, green leafy vegetables. Okay? And what people are starting to show is their inflammation is going down, their blood sugar is becoming balanced, they're having these incredible, a lot of the lethargy and the inflammation, the inflammatory achiness of their joints has gone away. And it's this meat, green leafy vegetable diet. And of course, you better know your BMR, which is how many calories you burn at rest. Because if you don't know your BMR, I don't care if you're eating meat and green leafy vegetables. If you're eating too much of them, you're going to get fat. It's impossible not to. I think there's a lot of truth in it. I don't have all the statistics yet. It's kind of new. But if you go to your search and your YouTube search and you put in meat, green leafy vegetable diet, you're going to see hundreds and hundreds of people mentioning it and some really incredible testimonials too. So that's just something to think about. All right. I've been talking about food, and I'm talking about the energy that is tied up in food, which comes from the sun. This is a life principle that you just cannot ignore. So please, 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 grow a garden. I'm a gardener. I like doing the garden. It makes me feel proud when I grow these beautiful vegetables and I can share them with people, right? I feel like I'm doing something to help. The green peppers that I grow in my garden compared to what I buy at the store are night and day different. The green peppers that I grow have they're very strong tasting, and the green they're very dark green when you look at them compared to the ones that my wife gets at Publix. Now the ones at Publix are huge. They're as big as, I'm using my hands to show you. I could barely put both my hands around them. My green peppers are about the size of my own hand, but man, are they tasty. They have such almost like an acidity to it when you eat them. I know it's because I got them right out of the ground. There was, I picked them that day. I also find that collard greens grow really good in pots. If the collard greens that we grew up with as a kid, the ham, you can make collard greens. It's been very popular. It's a soul food, I guess you'd call it. I hope that's politically correct. But I love collard greens with a ham hock base. And collard greens grow great in the gardens here in South Florida. And so do spinach grows really good in the gardens here. I've had a lot of luck with spinach, and of course all the different variety of tomatoes. But the tomato season is going to be gone in the summer here, just so you know. It's really hard for tomatoes to flower in the heat, and the same thing with the green peppers. Anything that requires a flower doesn't grow very good in the heat here in South Florida. So if you have your cucumbers and your squash and your watermelons or your cantaloupes, they need a lot of sun, because sun makes them grow, but they need some cool nights for those flowers to really work well. So, but when you eat food that you grow and occurs naturally, you're conforming with that law of life. You're eating live food at that point. Another really good source of live food is nuts and grains, sunflower seeds. I've taken handfuls of sunflower seeds and smashed them up and used them in a food processor to make a paste out of it with a little bit of olive oil, and then put that on crackers, and not so much crackers, but on celery and lettuce. I'm also really loving using romaine lettuce as a sandwich. The big piece of lettuce, instead of using a bread, I use that lettuce wrap, and I put the turkey or the different vegetables within that wrap, and I eat that wrap. That's been really, really good. I enjoy that. So this is just some things that I'm doing myself to keep my weight down. I always begin my day with 2 big glasses of water. I like distilled water. I have massive amounts of distilled water around my house. Gallons and gallons of it, and I carry them with me. I bring them in my car. Distilled water is incredible at, when you drink a lot of water, your bladder works better. You feel better, your skin is more resilient, you have more, water's a solvent, and I think we're really dehydrated as a culture. Most people are not getting enough water. So I really work hard on that. And it's something that means a lot to me, that everybody is looking at making these little choices. You don't have to make any big choices to be healthy. Your health is like it's like an escalator. It's either, you go to one of these escalators, it's bringing you up, and it's easy to if you're on a down escalator and it starts going down, it's easy to run up to the top when you're young. But as you get older, it's harder and harder to run up to the top of it, right? And there comes a point where you're just struggling just to stay in the middle. Because, if you slack, you go down. And this is a fact about health. Health is not a given. You are either moving towards health or you're moving away from health. You're never stationary. You never get to a point and say, okay, I'm good right here. I can stop with all the exercise. I can stop with the water. I can lay off on the vitamins and supplements I've been taking, you know. No, you can't. If you do, you start going backwards really fast. And the same thing goes if you're not eating supplements, if you're not getting enough water, if you're not getting enough sleep, start doing those things. Start doing those in small increments. And your health will improve because that's the law. You're putting the time, the energy, and your money into what is important to you. And that's where you're going to get the results out of it. And if you do it consistently and you do it with enough mindfulness and forethought, you'll never have to come into Slim Body Laser Spa because you'll be thin your whole life. You'll manage your weight and your energy levels. However, if you're struggling, you need help, you got too much body fat, big love handles, muffin tops, bat wings, loose flabby thighs, and you've been thinking of going for liposuction, just consider it. Went online, looked at some websites, saw a lipo procedure where they knocked the guy out, you know, mask on him, and you know they moved him and rolled him around like an old big piece of meat. They stick the stick in there, sucking out, you know what I mean? You see the person get up, they're wrapped in bandages, there's fluid and pus. That is not healthy, okay, you guys? I mean, sometimes you have to. If you let your health get that bad, you might need that, but there's a better way. There's a much better way. It's called low-level laser technology. It's called the fat laser, the lipo laser. FDA approved in 2006. That's what we do. We have a low-level laser. You can lose 3 to 9 inches of stubborn fat while you lie on your back and listen to music. Who would have ever thought it could be that easy? You can remove unwanted belly fat, arm fat, back fat, thighs, chins, and improve and tighten your skin. It's only 30 minutes each day you come in without surgery, without pain, while you lie on your back and listen to music. I have perfected this technique. I have an office called the Slim Body Laser Spa. It's on East Ocean Boulevard, right across from the Fresh Market. It's a laser lipo spa. We're doing laser body fat reduction, laser body sculpting. We're also using whole body vibration plates, which is a technique of building muscle strength and helping get rid of toxins. It's part of a detoxification process, the whole body vibration. We're also doing nutritional and real detoxification for people that really need to get rid of some of these toxins. Now, this isn't the same as a drug rehab. We're not a rehab. But most of you are walking around with as much poisons as your nephew, who's still doing drugs, and you haven't stopped to get rid of those toxins. Toxins come from the environment. You don't have to necessarily take them. You get exposed to them. You're exposed to petroleum. You're exposed to plastics. You're exposed to chemicals in your food and in your air. And these chemicals and these poisons accumulate in your fatty tissue, and then fat and toxins live together, and you can't get rid of fat if you don't get rid of toxins. And that's really one of the main stable points of contention at my laser spa, is we're not just helping you lose weight and getting rid of body fat, we're helping you with detoxification, which is why your body's putting on this fat, to protect you from poisons. It's a whole workshop that I do on toxins and how it accumulates in fatty tissue. If you're interested in knowing more about it, you should give us a call at the Slim Body Laser Spa, or go online to my contact page, drtred.com, Dr. Tread Slim Body Laser Spa. And on the contact page, you can put down what you're interested in. If you'd like to know more about detoxification, maybe you'd like a free consult to come in and see if maybe the laser can help you with your body fat struggles. Your low energy, the fact that, you can't, maybe you're stuck, you're plateaued on your weight loss and you can't seem to get any more off. We can help you with that. That's what the laser does. It works on those hopeless clients that have failed everywhere else, and they seem to come into the Slim Body Spa and get results. Nothing makes me feel better than that. Our program is 9 sessions in 3 weeks, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 3 weeks. You can even do it every day if you're really fit, Monday through Friday, Monday through Friday, that would be 10 sessions in 2 weeks. We do that for people that are really fit. However, if you're not as fit, you need some help with food, some metabolism issues, low metabolism, you need to spread out your treatments a little longer so you have more time for the body to make those changes so you can look and feel better and it's a little more permanent. I lost 10 inches of belly fat in only 9 sessions in 3 weeks, me, myself. Then I ate less for 3 months and I lost 10 pounds
20 seconds.
a month. You can do it too. Just give me a call, 772-223-5885. It's called the Slim Body Laser Spa. We're in Stuart
10
on
seconds.
East Ocean Boulevard. And yes, we have openings and I would love to see you. Free consultation. Live long. Be happy. Tell someone you know that you love them. Or tell somebody that you love them. Let them know you do. It's really important. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye-bye.